Known about the alleged shooter's troubled past, lawmakers are looking at ways to address what some critics call a broken background check system. Senator Chris Murphy, a Democrat from Connecticut, has been one of the most vocal critics for reforming gun laws following the tragedy at Sandy Hook Elementary School in his home state in 2012. We spoke a short time ago, and I started by asking him what needs to happen now.
Well, it's an open secret that the existing background check system is broken. People are waking up to the knowledge now that the Department of Defense has not been uploading lots and lots of records of people who shouldn't be able to get guns into the system. But the fact of the matter is there are many states that upload almost no records to the background check system, leaving the FBI to go out and try to get those records through other means. That means there are hundreds of thousands of people who shouldn't buy weapons, who are either seriously mentally ill or who have been convicted of serious crimes, who walk into gun stores and are able to walk out with weapons, like the shooter in Texas. Hopefully, this may be one of the few areas of common cause. I talked today with Senator John Cornyn, one of the biggest NRA proponents in the Senate, and we committed to try to work together on tightening up the existing background check system. This guy should have never gotten a gun, and hopefully Republicans and Democrats can do something about that.
So, Senator, you're suggesting that the loopholes in the background system were well known. If that's the case, why wasn't it brought to the public's attention before now?
Well, it has been brought to the public's attention. We've had legislation in Congress for multiple sessions to improve and strengthen the background checks system. The House of Representatives passed funding a few years ago to give states more money to upload records to NICS. The Republicans in Congress have never been willing to move this legislation, have never been willing to fund states in order to put records online. In fact, they've been moving the opposite direction. Earlier this year, Republicans passed legislation that was signed by President Trump that took 75,000 people with serious mental illness off the list of people who are prohibited from buying weapons. It seems that maybe in light of this tragedy, there is some willingness to finally close these loopholes and make sure that the background check system works. But everybody's known about this, and many of us have been trying to fix it for years.
So do you think there's a genuine change of view on the other side?
Well, I know that Senator Cornyn has been the strongest opponent of many of the common sense gun safety changes, like universal background checks, that we've tried to make. And today he and I talked seriously about working together to try to make sure that states are uploading this information about criminals and people with serious mental illness into the database. And that's not sufficient in order to protect Americans, in part because that only applies if you buy your gun at a gun store. If you buy it at a gun show or online, even if you're on the prohibited list, you'll still walk out with a weapon. But it's a step in the right direction if we can work together on this.
And you're prepared to work with Senator Cornyn and others on this?
I think you have to crawl before you can walk, and I am willing to do anything to try to show the American public that we are not just going to sit idly by and allow shooting after shooting to happen. I think if Republicans can, flex that muscle a little bit and tighten up our gun laws, maybe show a little bit of resistance to the gun lobby, they'll find out that it's not that hard, and they actually get a lot of applause from a cross-section of their constituents back home.
But just to clarify, the Air Force acknowledging that there was an error, you're suggesting it's more than just a single error.
It is much more than a single error. The data that I've seen suggests that while the military is uploading information relative to people who have been given dishonorable discharges, those that have been given bad conduct discharges are very often not put into the system. It does not look to me like this was an individual act of oversight. It looks to me like there's a much bigger systemic problem that we need to fix.
President